Speaking moistly, keep 2 meters apart, keeping moistly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Speaking Moistly, our usual Tuesday show. Today on Thursday with our usual guest host, Greg. How you doing today, Greg?
I'm doing good. Happy Thursday here. Yeah.
Thursday. Yeah, I meant co-host, not guest host. You're the main co-host. You're the main we talked about this. So Pierre Poilievre, the CPC leadership, is finished tomorrow. And I don't think that we're going to get the results tomorrow. Do you think that we're going to get the results tomorrow? Do you think it'll be bam that quick?
Well, last time it was really weird, right? They had the election thing airing and they're like, oh, it should be just half an hour until we get the results. And it was 4 hours. It was like 3 or 4 hours later. Hey, we just need to, we're still counting them. We're just going to take another 3 to 4 hours to count them.
Yeah. It takes a long time to count ballots, man.
We need to throw out all these Leslie Lewis ballots.
Yeah.
1 sec.
The machine started eating the ballots. Remember, there was a machine eating ballots. They had a live stream of the counting room, and then didn't the live stream go down or something to that effect? Or there was like 5 minutes of problems.
There was a couple of wild technical difficulties where people started to turn purple. I don't know if you remember this, but essentially, there was this weird like the image would freeze. And then the image would start to like distort, and like the person's face was purple. It was
wild. So there were issues. Just how convenient, it's just so weird how that happened at the same time. And so this time I feel like no matter how much there's a whole bunch of media that's misrepresenting the campaign that Mr. Poilievre ran. And Global News is saying, why is Mr. Poilievre so divisive? Why is he so angry? This is just from today. And so we're heading into this where it looks like on the ground, if I were watching this unfold, I would say Poilievre is ahead. However, watching the election where Andrew Scheer was elected, you would think that Mr. Bernier was ahead at that point, right? And Mr. O'Toole, who was the front runner? I don't think there was really a front runner in that CPC election. I can't remember.
Well, with Aaron O'Toole?
After Scheer. I don't know because it didn't seem likely that O'Toole, because there was Derek Sloan, and there was it wasn't a Roman Baber, but it was another kind of person who was willing to speak out against things happening.
Yeah,
but they didn't look like
Aaron O'Toole was running a good campaign though. Like he was putting out good ads.
Everybody said he was going to go liberal as soon as he got the leadership. Everybody said he's
and he did. He did.
Right.
The first thing he talked about is like, we need to talk more about climate change. That's what we need to do.
Yep.
It's like, are you serious, bro?
Now that I'm a leader. So again, it was not Charest, but it was another Peter Clark. No, it wasn't Peter Clark. It was I can't remember the guy's name, but he's still in politics right now, and I just can't bring his name to mind. But
Allen or something. Yeah.
No, it's Peter something. But anyway, nobody wanted him, and nobody was going to get on board with Derek Sloan. Leslie Lewis wasn't really hitting the way people expected her to, and I don't know about
Lewis
that
did
one.
really well in Saskatchewan, if I'm not mistaken.
She did, yeah. But it was kind of a tepid leadership race. It wasn't all that. Nobody was really all that tuned in. It was finishing in summertime. Regardless, this one, there's a lot of people interested. Pierre Poilievre said he toured 93,000, or he toured all of the provinces. 93,000 people was a tweet I saw before doing this, and I still think, when all is said and done, they're gonna be surprised on the 10th, because I think they'll announce the winner on the 10th. They won't announce it on the 9th. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't know.
I think you're crazy. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Pierre's going to win, easy peasy. I think if Pierre does lose, then I really unfortunately, as much as I like Pierre and like a lot of what he says, and he's like saying all the right things right now, I don't trust him. I don't trust
the party. I think it's hard to personally do what Mr. Poilievre is doing.
My point.
Sorry, man. Go ahead. You don't trust him.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of grown up too close to the Laurentian elite his entire life, and I think he's compromised. I'd love to be proven wrong, but let me finish my point. If he does get excluded from the leadership race and miraculously Charest wins, then unfortunately, I think it actually might be bad news. I think it might be that they might he might say, "Hey, I'm starting my own party." Pierre Poilievre starts his own party, and then he will essentially astroturf Canadian populism, Canadian right-wing populism. It'll be like obviously making Bernier completely irrelevant, and then it'll be, globalist controlled populist alternative conservative populist party, which would be
So they
wild.
wouldn't do this. They wouldn't do this. Why?
I mean, like I guess if they do that, then it's like, it's unfortunately, I think it'd be like 4D chess from globalists to like really try to um really take the conservative movement back even further. Um it would be good because people would have even less faith in the conservative party, which I think would be a good thing. But
If the Conservative Party wouldn't exist anymore.
but it would essentially get everyone interested in whatever alternative party is created through Pierre Poilievre, and
Yeah, the
it
conservative.
would just further fracture the right wing, which
Yeah.
I guess you may be right. Maybe they will make this move. The only like reason I don't think they're going to do that though is that so many people have been radicalized through the trucker convoy. And I think if they did this with Pierre Poilievre, that would further radicalize more people who aren't even close to being radicalized. Like I think there would be a lot of
Radicalized. What do you mean by radicalized?
if you're a globalist, you want people to be on the couch. You want people to like be, oh yeah, Pierre Poilievre is going to save us, so I'm not going to do anything. Everything's taken care of, and that's what they have right now with Pierre Poilievre, and I think they want to keep that going.
Maybe I think that
I
they
think
like
if they
to.
were if they were to exclude Pierre and not let him in, then people who would normally never, like old school conservative supporters, I always vote conservative, people who would never even imagine getting off the couch would then get off the couch for the first time and be like, what's going
But they
on
have
here?
but they have a counter to that. Before that was a problem, but now they've got a counter to that because they will wear you out because you will scream into the hurricane and you will try and gather support while they use their assets to call you and your ideas racist and use the apparatus of the state, a la Jeremy McKenzie, to shut you down by claiming all of the stuff we're already seeing they're claiming now. So I would agree with you,
So,
except that I lived.
they're already doing that though,
I
right?
know, I know. That's what I'm saying. That model works whether people are upset with liberal politics or conservative leadership races. It works. They wear you down. They get to a point where you are just so tired and you don't get anywhere with anything, with petitions, with joining the system or becoming elected. You don't make any meaningful progress, and any meaningful progress costs money, support, legal fees, legal maneuvering, lawyers, all of that stuff, to the point where the opposition literally is so tied up they can't do anything. It's lawcraft, right? And they have that model in place since Bernier fractured off the CPC. And now, if they smash the CPC, how are you going to build a fledgling conservative party in Canada? Look at Mr. Bernier. He's got lots of reach. He's got lots of, I mean, he's being shadow banned by Twitter, right? And he's not perfect. He's a human person, right? And he's made mistakes, I'm sure. But, and I'm not saying that it's been perfect, but look at how many people have rushed to support him. Look at how many people have funded the party or backed the party, newspaper endorsements, blah, 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 blah. It's freedom fighters. It's ground, or it's grassroots. And if that's all you have, if you don't have any media endorsements, if you don't have any access to television, if you have only got alt media, then like I'll tell you, growing a Rumble channel or an Odyssey channel, way different than growing a YouTube channel. Not impossible, right? So it is very difficult, and they know it. And if they smash this party by doing what we're talking about, if putting Charest in there, and they just might, they'll cause damage because there won't be a party to stop. There won't be viable party to stop anything. I don't know, or even think that the conservatives really are stopping what's happening. They're not effective at it. Everything they oppose seems to get through anyway. So thanks to the NDP and the liberals, right? So it's, I hope I'm wrong, but
Well,
if
I mean,
Polyev starts, then it's the beginning of a fight, and we don't know if he's actually going to take the fight on. We'll see, right?
yeah, and well, if he does win the leadership race, can we agree that he is a globalist?
Most likely. Well, okay, let's talk about that, because I think you've gone through a campaign, I've gone through a campaign, right? And I think that it is absolutely difficult. It's a hard thing to do, to be prepared to answer questions and to be a public figure and to be able to respond properly to questions and give concerns their due. It's difficult to put yourself in that position. And learning how to run a staff is something that not everybody is cut out to do. And learning how to do media and all of that other stuff. Some people hate public speaking, right? All of that stuff.
It's
Not
a lot.
everybody's cut out for that.
Campaigning is very difficult. Yeah,
It's very complex, and it's hard on a family. And Mr. Polyev has a young family, and so I look at it, and I'm a parent, and you're not a parent, so that may be a difference in our outlook, right? That may be a difference in
sure.
positioning. Yep. But I look at Mr. Polyev, and I see a young father who has two beautiful kids and a young wife, and he could have sat back and just collected the paycheck and not said anything. He could have, and a lot of people did, and nobody would have criticized him, even if he disagreed with what's going on. But he didn't. He's speaking out. He's getting attacked regularly in the press. Read some of the, go back. Did you ever read some of the articles that get rewritten about you post 2020 or post 2019 election? Occasionally I Google myself just to see what comes up and reread the article that get edited. But the attacks are vicious, and it's purposeful, and it's to smear you. You wouldn't put yourself in that position unless you had a good reason. And so I have a hard time thinking that it's hard to do this job, to do this what we do. Look at all of this stuff, because I don't really look at this as a job. It's hard to be in this position and look at what's going on and always look for the bad guy in a seemingly good guy, right? And it seems like you absolutely have to. Look at what happened with Justin Trudeau. We had all of Canada fooled, right? But the need to do that is absolutely there. But I don't know. Is he a globalist? I don't know. Is the evidence there to back it up? John Baird? So I don't know. The jury's out on that. If he wins, it depends on what he does as leader. And I mean, I'm sure it'll take me 6 months to have a strong opinion on one way or another, if he's a globalist or not. If Klaus Schwab comes into the parliament, if there's another Zelensky thing, I mean, he's made indications that he said, I would have done this as prime minister for funding Ukraine and so on and so forth. That I totally disagree with. I've pointed out lots of issues with Polyev's positions. So I don't think it's either he gets elected and therefore he's a globalist, or he doesn't get elected and he's our guy. Because the things he's saying, it's not 100% ticking all the boxes. Even if he did everything he wanted to do, that's still concerning, because he's talking about bringing in foreign healthcare workers to fill the gaps, and not talking about rehiring the healthcare workers who've been fired due to the bad mandates and limitations, all that stuff, right?
Don't you think it was interesting how quickly things changed in the aftermath of the trucker convoy?
Quickly things change. Candace Bergen was not put in place by leadership contest that anybody had any control of. There was a small group of conservatives who put her in place because they thought that she would oversee the party in the most neutral way, right? Like, hold on to it while we make a decision on who the leader is. So there was no input into that. So I think that there's a change in the positioning of the Conservative Party, because the leader's an interim leader, and nobody's going to be really held responsible. Like, the whip's not going to come and yell at you if you put a tweet out that says, I disagree with Justin Trudeau in the Conservative Party, right? Whereas previously you would, right? Aaron O'Toole was 100% behind Justin Trudeau. They had that little meeting in that basement that one time, where all the party leaders are saying, we're all on the same page. Let's fight this COVID together, or whatever, by destroying the economy.
I mean, such a huge demonstration of traditionally conservative people coming out to Parliament Hill. If you're a globalist, you're like, how the hell are we going to get these people under control? We can't actually give them what they want, but we need to get them to believe that that there's hope for them and that things
Mhm.
will change for them. So what are we going to do? Well, we need to change the Conservative Party to give them more hope, to give them more of an idea that things are going to
Good
change,
argument.
that
Good
we
argument.
will give them the thing that they want.
Well,
And then Pierre
if you
Polyev shows up saying all the right things, doing all the right things. And again, I don't even disagree with what he's saying. I think he is saying all the right things, and I hope he's going to do all the right things. But I wanted to ask, what is the most frustrating thing about having Justin Trudeau as prime minister? It's frustrating
specifically,
because we can't do anything about it because he was voted in. And now it's just, him trying to politic and ram through his legislation that we don't like. And what's frustrating about it is that his persona, his popularity has a stranglehold on the nation, because as long as he is popular and people like him, he can essentially do what he wants. Well, he has a minority government, but you know what I mean? Like, we're kind of like subject to whatever the hell he wants to do, like a dictatorship, huh? But it's like you talk about, oh, we won't know if Pierre's not our guy until it's too late. Like basically until
but
it's
that's
too
the
late.
reality of the world, man. Like that's unfortunate, but it's true. It doesn't matter. Like you can read a
Yeah, but
bill
but
before
dude,
it gets
but
passed.
yeah, but it's also like there's ways to test people. There's ways to ask them questions and to test them and to push them and to see where their true allegiance is.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I mean?
but they can lie. But they can lie. I just think that
Of
a
course they can.
stronger,
Of course they can lie, but it's our job to keep testing them as opposed to just sitting around and hoping that he'll be our guy. And that's the thing. We've talked about this before, how it's like I understand why people just want to sit back on the couch and be like, yes, Pierre is going to save us, and
Mhm.
therefore I could just sit on the couch and not worry about it anymore. But yeah, it's like that's just going to set us up to get lubed up and screwed again by blue globalist. Um, yeah,
Well, I mean, they make it sound so reasonable and they pass these laws and they say, you know, we have Canada needs to contribute, et cetera, et cetera. And the conversation has been twisted in such a way that nobody is really looking out for the best interests of the country of Canada anymore. They're using the money and the future potential money we make to fund humanitarian programs all around the world and to bring people into Canada. And it all seems like it's politicking. It all seems like it's buying votes. It all seems like none of it is. I don't know what tangible thing we've gotten from sending $3 billion to Ukraine. We didn't spend our NATO commitments. We didn't meet the NATO commitments that the United States demanded in 2019 or whatever. We haven't any year, and yet we'll send $3 billion to Ukraine, and I don't know what we get for it, except Zelensky coming to our parliament every so often by video. Like I just don't.
yay!
Yeah, right. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, right? And so how are Canadians benefiting from this? Why are we doing this? How are Ukrainians benefiting from this? Can we get a line item impact? Are we spending $100,000 on coats? Are we spending $100,000 on ammo?
I think it all speaks to, though, we are coping right now.
You and
We
me
are,
or
yeah,
Canadians?
people in our situation, people of our viewpoint, it's all just a big cope to how terribly, the everyday people have been fucking shafted. Part of my language, but it's like, you know, it's a big cope, because imagine your attitude if the PPC was actually making moves. Imagine the PPC was like aggressively campaigning in Alberta, for example, and just focusing on a few ridings and just focusing on, like, really getting a few seats in parliament. And imagine that, like, the feeling and the attitude we would have. It's like, wow, like our people are getting in there. Like the people who represent our values are going to get in the House of Commons. That's exciting, because our people are getting in there.
Yeah, but
And instead of that excitement, we're like, yeah, well, I'm hoping Pierre will lead the Conservative Party, and hopefully he'll turn things. You know what I mean? Like it's very much a sort
I
of
think that
cope with
but
the
that represents a
unfortunate situation
faster
we're in.
that represents a faster way to get what everybody wants, which is sensible governance, really, right? Like I want the shortest route to sensible governance. I don't necessarily care about my people. I want I want governance that is prioritizing Canada and tangibly benefiting Canada. And that's not what Justin Trudeau is doing. But like, there are so many opportunities to build a political party. There are so many opportunities to, as you said, campaign out west or campaign here, campaign there, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I mean, that's long been one of my complaints about the PPC, but I don't necessarily know that being an effective campaigner is all that it takes to win, because it seems like we don't have control of the elections that we are running across the board, right? We being the public, because we can't audit these elections. I don't know that we can contest these elections in a way that's really meaningful. You can, they say, well, right now, I think they're using voting machines, vote counting machines for this municipal election coming up. I don't know if there's a hand count portion. I think they were counting 10% by hand. For a long time, Elections Canada was saying that it's hand counted, but I think that there was only a percentage that were hand counted. They have machines that do a lot of that. So there's issues. There's mail-in ballots. There's ballots that don't get counted because they show up late. There's all sorts of issues. There's the people who certify the ballots for leadership races. That's Deloitte. Deloitte's on the board of the WEF, I think. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that happens, right? So when people are saying, all the PPC needs to do is tighten up their communication or get out there and really target one place and spend their money all in one place. I mean, Maxime Bernier held Beauce for multiple election cycles, CPC banner, right? He leaves the CPC and the CPC easily win with a new CPC candidate. A lot of people thought Maxime Bernier did a good job. And I don't know if there were shenanigans or whatever, but it seems fishy to me, because incumbents really do have an advantage. They understand how elections are run, and they understand the machines behind it, the machinery behind it, getting people to knock on doors and putting all that stuff out there.
Hold on. But you're talking about an incumbent who was an incumbent of a establishment party versus the incumbent who is now a brand new party.
They got a second person named Maxime Bernier to run in that election in his riding against him.
I'm fully aware of that.
I'm just saying, there's shenanigans. That in and of itself is shenanigans. That's a legal term.
Of course, but you said a lot of things that I think are kind of like ridiculous. Sorry. You were like, oh yeah, it's so easy to just like start a political party.
It is.
And
it's some paperwork. It's really not that hard.
Yeah, but who cares about some
That's the point.
Political party?
That's what I mean.
And it's all about campaigning. Winning is all about campaigning. And it's
ground game is important. Yep.
No, it's the most important. And the case in point of this is how effective the Liberals are at it. That's the only thing they're good at. That's the only thing they're good at is running a campaign, and like their ground game is incredible, like bar none. It's
when they remove competitors' material from doors and stuff.
Hey, dude!
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
You can laugh all they want, but they're winning. So it's like, yeah, were they using dirty tactics? Yeah, they're winning, and they hold the power in this country. So laugh all you want.
Right. But I think that the reason they're winning is because the right lacks organization. The right is very, very fractured. You can't even get 15 conservatives to agree what a woman is these days. Get 15 people who are conservative. Are we all agree? In Alberta, everybody's agreeing what a woman is. In Ontario, people are not speaking up first, let's say. Okay. And that's a problem, right? You can't, if we all don't have the same story, if we are not speaking the same language or culturally on board with the same basic ideas, it's going to be very difficult to coalesce a political party or enough support for a political group if we can't agree on the basics, right? And people have been beaten the snot out of, to the point where they wear masks on TV. I'll have to talk about that soon, but they've been abused and just demoralized to the point where they're saying we'll do anything, right? And I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of disorganization in the right wing right now. I think we're having like multiple identity crises. I think that the answer has a lot to do with what's worked in the states, which is nationalism, which is putting our country first, which is reconnecting with our religious roots
Mhm.
in regards to Christianity, and that means being socially conservative. And the problem is every single conservative, not every single conservative, but a lot of them, Pierre Poilievre included, is afraid to play the socially conservative game, and they're not going to stand up against the transgenderism cult.
Yep. Yep.
And it's
And
like
we're already
that's
seeing
and
that.
it's like, okay, so you're not a real conservative then.
Yep.
First, like first of all, and that's what people want to see. People want to see, we the pendulum is swinging,
Hmm.
and like people are afraid to say, "Oh, I don't want to upset the transgenderism cult," or challenge feminist ideals. And it's like we have communists teaching children. We have like crazy non-binary transgender people saying whatever they want, and some of them make it into the parliament buildings, by the way. It's
Hmm.
like these are extremists. These are the
Yep.
radicals. And
Yep.
it's like you're afraid to do the opposite on the other side of the spectrum. You're afraid to be somebody who's going to like stand up for Christian values. It's like no wonder we're losing, man. It's like we're too afraid to say the most basic truths, the
Yes.
most basic
That's,
things.
I agree. Yes. That's
And
the
so
core of it.
it's like there's a lot more to be desired in this country on the right side of the aisle. And I think that it it Pierre Poilievre's popularity is a kind of a testament to how bad things are. The fact that he can kind of show up and say like, "Oh, freedom," and people are like, "Whoa, he's going to defeat Justin
Yeah.
Trudeau," and it's
Yeah.
like this just shows kind of like how rough a shape this country is in.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. I think he's going to win because I think he's not our guy. I think he's actually just going to be like digital ID guy
Yeah. Yeah. He might be.
who's going to make digital ID save our economy.
He might
That's
be. You might
why.
be right.
And then all the
But
conservatives will be like,
it might.
"Whoa, cool. I love digital ID now. No
We were
way."
doing. We were doing it anyway, guys. No,
Yeah.
I can take cash out. I can definitely take
Whoa,
cash out.
whoa. Jabs are good for the economy. I better get my jabs then. It's like,
Holy smoke! You're not wrong. That way we can stay open.
oh my God.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay. I've got to cut it off. We're gonna cut it off there. We did have more to talk about with the mask. Actually, here, I'll pause it for a sec. All right, we're back. Everything was done. So the other thing we were going to talk about was the doctor who is running for school board trustee in Ottawa, and she appeared on the Steve Paikin show with Dr. Mark Strauss and another guy I can't remember. He was from Western University though, and they were discussing COVID and all that stuff. And it is the most entertaining 2 minutes of Canadian TV you'll ever see, aside from all of our content, of course. But holy smoke, I laughed. Greg, I showed it to you. What did you think of? And I'm sorry that I can't show it to everyone here. The screen sharing, the volume doesn't come through, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it doesn't come
So,
through.
I like write comedy and satire sometimes, and I probably couldn't have written anything better than what this woman was saying.
Yeah.
The first question the newscaster says is like, "So a lot of people are saying the vid or the Rona is over, and that we're going back to normal." And the first thing this woman says, with an N95 mask on her face while on a video call,
Alone in her office.
wearing an extreme like surgical mask alone in her home, she says, "Oh well, this talk of going back to normal is like a far right thing."
She sure does. She
Wow.
sure does.
And it's
I
like I could not say that without breaking character, but like she did this and
right.
like she's like totally into it. It's like, wow, going back to normal is a far right extremist phrase.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. She
damn,
leaned
I
in
couldn't even
hard.
have thought of something that like funny and just like, damn, that's
I started laughing because I thought this is better than most Saturday Night Live skits post the year
yeah.
2000.
The only thing that's missing is when she was saying how there's definitely no health effects of wearing a mask. I wish she would have started like coughing and like
Wheezing
choking.
or something.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
Goodness. I
Yeah.
don't wish harm on anyone, especially someone as clearly in distress as this woman is. But holy smokeronies, just
Mhm.
objectively entertaining. I wish it was a skit because then we could
Yeah.
laugh with mirth,
Uh-huh.
but it was not a skit. And I mean, Matt Strauss, the other part that I found funny, and one of the reasons why I thought it was better than most Saturday Night Live skits, was because Matt Strauss she's making statements that Strauss wants to jump in and kind of object to.
Refute. Yeah.
Yeah. And he doesn't. And I would not be able, he didn't make a noise. He was like, you could see it all over his face, but yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's shaking his head no, like all sorts of stuff. And I thought, holy, this is the best bit of entertaining television ever. I showed it to my wife, and she was watching it, and there were so many bits that I thought, this, you have to, you just have to laugh because there is no other response at this point.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, believe it or not, I think that things are going to start to change this fall because, you know, we're in a good position because we know how to laugh at the chaos. We're very familiar with the chaos. But I think there's going to be a new class of normies who start to snap and lose their minds because a
Yeah.
lot of normies have, they're over it. They're over it. They're like, it's over. And so when this next wave of propaganda comes and when this next wave of lockdowns inevitably come because it's flu
Yep.
season, I
Yeah.
think they're going to lose their
That
minds.
doesn't exist anymore.
I think they're going to start to like really kind of be like, no way. And just kind of snap. And we're going to see some breakdowns. We're going to see some like really sort of like, you got to be kidding me sort of. I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cause people have been pushed so much over the past 2 years. And, you know, the science of the jabs, it's like, it's getting harder and harder to justify that, you know, because it's like the people who, you know, it's something's got to give. Something's got to give here, folks.
They're going to say it's climate change. The government is going to say this is
Yeah,
just
but like
stuff.
and that's the thing. The totally absurd, outlandish propaganda is so far out now. It's like it's not going to keep working on people, especially
I
because
think the more
by
crazy
buying
it gets, the
into
better
it,
it works.
they're welcoming more stress and anxiety into their life. And I think that out of necessity, a lot of normies are going to start to reject it because it's like I just need like out of my own sanity. Like I can't even you know, they're going to start rejecting and refunding the propaganda. Like I can't even consume this, and
The
like
more
I can't eat it.
outlandish, this is a 10-year plan, more and less. It's
I think it's been more, but we're in the final 10
yes,
years.
right.
Yeah.
This I think that this is multiple games. If you think of it like a bowling, I don't know why bowling, but 10 frames in a bowling game, and like we're 4 games in, or something like that, and we're in the end of the fourth one, or 5 games in, and we're into the fifth one, and the end game is we're supposed to think it's taking much longer than it is. Sorry, somebody's calling me, and that's not so good. We're supposed to think that it's going to take much longer than it is, so we stay seated on the couch. But they want to be done in like 5 years, 2027 type deal rather than 2030. But right, I think that it's another head fake. But it takes so long that I think you're right. People will just not believe it, and they will not engage, and then all of a sudden not snap, but realize they're underwater with their bills and they can't make it work, and so on and so forth. And then say, well, this is the government's fault, but it's going to take a lot longer because there's still a lot of air in the Canadian economy, and people will be able to rely on that for a little while longer. So yeah, it's a really wild thing to live through. And I don't know if Pierre Poilievre wins it, but you and I'll come on after they announce it, and we'll just chat one way or the other. You could be right. It'd be great if you're right. Maybe we'll see. If you're right, the fight begins, and we'll see what he's made of. We'll see if he's going to actually do it or if he's just another globalist. And if Charest wins, everybody knows the deal. And what happens next? Whew, that'd be crazy. Don't you think? We'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, these people are trying to, you know, the way I explain it to people is, you know, the globalists are trying to domesticate human beings across the world like they're sheep. And it's like when you try to do that, there's obviously going to be a reaction to that, you know?
Yes.
And when you try to control everything, you're going to find out eventually how little control you do have.
Yeah, that's the truth too.
And so I think we're already seeing that with the rise of Trump, but I think it's only going to get crazier in terms of just yeah, I just believe in the resilience of the human spirit, and it's going to be really fun to see their plans get foiled over the next couple decades. Hopefully the
I
next 5 years.
I hope
Hopefully
getting
the next
foiled. I hope
5 years.
so.
The
Oh,
next 5 years would be nice.
we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, we got to wrap it up there. Final thoughts. You kind of just did final thoughts, didn't you? Where
That
can
was
they
my
find you?
final thoughts. Find me on
Bam.
my YouTube, Greg Wycliffe, Instagram, Greg Wycliffe, TikTok, and Twitter. Coming out with a new music video for a song that'll be out
Ooh,
at
like,
the end of the month. So
love it.
keep your eyes open for that.
Nice. And you can find me at canadapoly.com and all the other places that I do my stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will catch you next time.